the wrong way. Okay. Hey, hey, hey. Good afternoon, my people, my people, my people, my people. Ah, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Well, I just come on today, this afternoon for a brief moment. Went to church today, got as far as taking my clothes off and taking my teeth out and putting my pajamas back on. So don't judge me because I don't have my teeth in my mouth. I'm getting comfortable, and after I get off here, I'm going to take these lashes off and wash my face and put my mask on. But anyway, going with the church today, um, and not the pastor, but one of the elders brought the word today, and she came out of Ecclesiastics 1. Nothing new under the sun. Everything that is being done has been done. Life is a circle. It just go round and round and round and round. Different day. Different day, same thing, right? So while she was preaching, I was sitting there and I was thinking about my granddaughter because it was a while back. It was about music. Like the young people think some of this music that they're hearing now is something new. And a lot of the new artists are sampling from the old artists. So, there is absolutely nothing new under the sun. And what has happened is anything that has happened in the past is going to happen. It's going to happen again. And that's the way, life is. And last week was this past week, and maybe the last 2 weeks has been a learning experience for me. I have been extremely, I don't want to say I've been stressed because I don't feel like I thought I was coping well with things, with the passing of my mom. And then like 3 months later, the passing of my aunt, and dealing with the fallout with my mom estate, just dealing with a lot of stuff. And I thought because I wasn't getting upset about anything, that I was handling everything, just not having even a moment to grieve my mom, and then my aunt passed away. Then like I just didn't feel like I needed to grieve. I needed to take care of what needed to be taken care of. And then at some point, when I had time to grieve, I would just grieve, right? So yesterday, I had a breakthrough, not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. And I use the word but because but cancel out everything that you say before. Maybe I should say, however, I had a breakthrough. And I don't know who's listening. I don't even know if this is going to be in anybody algorithm, or, I don't know how this message would get to who it needs to get to. But however, all I am going to say, whatever you're going through, if you're going through something, God brought it to you for a reason. And that reason is, I don't know, is either to elevate you. There's a lesson that you need to learn. There's something that you're doing that you should not be doing. There's something that you're not doing that you should be doing. With the passing of my mom, and I was telling the ladies in the love ministry yesterday, I couldn't grieve my mom. And it was like I was harboring so much resentment, so much animosity, so much forgiveness in my body. I was just harboring all of that, not only resentment and anger towards my mom, and not only for not forgive and for unforgiveness, all of that. I was just harboring all of that in my body, right? And I'm gonna tell you, like for the past 2 weeks, I have been having heart palpitations, and it had got so intense that if I lay on my left, it's like my heart was just, I could feel it in my throat, and I have to cough. And then if I lay on my right, it be kind of, it'll ease up a little bit, but I still could just feel my heart just racing. And then I had, like, every morning I woke up, I would have headaches. The headaches with the heart palpitations, and then it'll ease up, it'll stop. So I take take a Tylenol, and was half taking my blood pressure medication, and just a whole lot of stuff. Not really taking care of myself like I supposed to be taking care of myself. But however, the heart palpitations was really, really scaring me because they were becoming more and more and more intense. So it's like they came to a head. It really got bad, like this past Thursday. It really got really like intense. Let me go back something. My mom passed away October the 31st, 11:45. My mom did not have her affairs in order. She didn't have anything written down. And even though I am the only child, she did not have not one thing written down. Didn't have anything placed anywhere where you can find what it is that you need to find. So um had to go on a mission to hunt for things. And I'm not good with my patience is very thin. I don't like looking for things. I don't like to be aggravated. I don't like be put in a situation that I have no control of, and I don't like being put in a position that I don't know anything about anything that I need to know about. So, with that being said, going through my mom papers and things like that, now I got to deal with the estate. I got to deal with Wells Fargo. I got to deal with what we have here in Florida called Suncoast Credit Union. She had a retirement um, in Suncoast and something else in Wells Fargo. So I know how much is in Suncoast. A substantial amount is in Suncoast. I don't know what's in Wells Fargo, and I can't get into Wells Fargo. Now I got to go through probate. I'm a diva on a budget, and my budget is not that long, not that long. So I called the probate courts, and they set me up with the lawyer that will guide you through the necessary steps if you want to take on this task on your own. Now, if you don't want to take this task on your own, they will recommend lawyers to you. And lawyers cost mucho dinero, and I don't got mucho dinero. So I talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer told me everything that I was going to need, filing the papers. And it was just like my head was just exploding. And first I talked to my pastor about it. And he was just saying, Maritha, you talk to the lawyer, you listen to what the lawyers say, don't get overstimulated, don't get excited. He said, because you'll get frustrated and you will want to quit. You don't want to do it, you'll want to quit. So that was my thing. I was going to just quit after I heard that lawyer. I was going to quit. So then my pastor said, write down everything that you have to do. He say inch by inch is a cinch. Yard by yard is hard. So now while my mom was sick and while my mom was transitioning, I was asking God to give me patience, something I never asked for before. And even during the transition, there was a peace that came over me because I wasn't, I know God's will was going to be done. Either she going to live by the will of God or she's going to transition, and that's going to be the will of God also. And I asked God to put me in a place that I will be able to accept whatever happens either way. If she live, give me the patience to be the daughter that you have ordained me to be so I can take care of my mama and don't get frustrated. If she don't live, give me the patience to endure whatever is to I'm getting ready to face. And I thought about that and how calmness just came over me with everything. So I'm in a good place with that. I'm in a good place because that was God's will that my mom transitioned um, to go home. So then dealing with the courts and getting lawyers and stuff like that when you don't know what you're doing. And that was the time I prayed and said, Lord, why my mama didn't have two more children? Have somebody older than me where they can deal with this, because I don't want to deal with this because I don't know what I'm doing. And my mom's funeral arrangements, my daughter took care of all of that. Mom, I'm gonna do all of that because I need for you to be in a calm place. I need you just to mourn I just need for you to mourn grandma right now. I don't want you to have to deal with all of this. So my daughter, she dealt with all of that, the burial, all of that, the funeral arrangements, all of that. Thank you. So she said, but now, Mom, I can't, the next part of this, I can't do it because you are the sole person. There's nobody else but you now. You, grandma, daughter. I can't do it. I'm just the granddaughter. You the daughter, so you're gonna have to handle this. And by handling this, you can't get angry, you can't get stressed out. You gotta do this because you're the only one that can do it. So when talking to the lawyer, and after I talked to her on a Friday. I talked to her February, I think it was the 28th. I talked to her, yep, like I'm looking at my calendar to make sure. Yes, I talked to her on February the 28th. So, so she told me what all I needed to do, and she gave me some names of lawyers to contact, and she said, maybe you'll find one that'll do pro bono, but you just have to keep looking until you find that one. So the impatient, me being by my not wanting to go through all of that, she said, you can even call on me and I will help you, as much as I can. So I said, okay. So talking to her Friday, and I always want to be transparent with my children about, what's going on. So I talked to my daughter and I, told her what, the lawyer said. She said, well, Mom, about how much do you think this is going to cost? I said, I don't know how much it's going to cost. All I know, I ain't going to have the money to do it. So I began to pray. And because I was getting frustrated, I was getting aggravated, and I didn't know where I was going to get this money. I just did not know where I was going to get the money. All I know is I had to do something because my dad worked too hard to get the property to build a house, and he worked too hard to pay the mortgage off on that house. He worked too hard for it just this to be taken away. So that was on a Friday, and I'm praying and I'm saying, Lord, I have heard. If you bring it to me, you're gonna take me, you're gonna walk me through this, and I'm gonna come out. It's by your mercy and your grace that I'm gonna come out of this. And I don't know how, because that's not my job to know how or to figure out how I'm gonna come through this and come out ahead. So that's that Friday. I talked to the lawyer. So that Saturday, that Monday came, I started calling lawyers. Hey, Mimi, happy Sunday to you too. So I started calling, she gave me the name of lawyers. I started calling lawyers. Then I started looking at how much probate lawyers are. So I'm looking at from 300 to $500 an hour. So, and I'm saying in my mind, I don't need to talk a whole hour. Can I do like 5 or 10 minutes? And I know that wasn't realistic. So, and I just gave up. I just gave up. So, let me go back. I talked to the lawyers that Friday, the 28th. That Sunday, I get a telephone call. And the voice was a man, and it was a number that I did not recognize. And me and this guy, we were just having this conversation. He said, hello. I said, hello. And he said, well, how are you? And I said, well, I'm good. How are you? He said, how things been going? I said, things fine. And then I said, wait a minute. Who am I talking to? And he said, woman, you don't know who I am? I said, no. Who are you? He said, this your husband. And I said, oh my goodness. And me and my ex-husband hadn't talked. He said, Maritza, do you know the last time you and I talked? I said, no. He said, it's been 16 years since you and I talked. And I'm saying all of this to show you just how good God is. And when you don't see something, you don't pray and ask God for help and direction, and you don't think God hear you, and God you're praying and you're talking to God. But while you're praying and talking to God, God is already fixing it. God was already putting the pieces together, right? So that Sunday, my daughter had stopped by and she had brought some pasta that she made. And on her way home, he called her. So as we're talking, I'm saying, well, how did you get my number? He said, from V. I said, well, wait a minute, how did you get her number? Then he said, Marita, he said, I have been looking for you over a year. He said, you were on my mind so bad. He said, I just started looking for you. I started calling numbers that your phone number used to be. But then I saw this site where I can go on and pay $5. And they like a location app or something like that. He said, the numbers that they had for you, I call, and the numbers were disconnected. He said, but they had the next person, and that was your daughter. So I said, oh, okay. And he said, then I called her. And then he said, did she just leave your house? I said, yeah. How you know? He said, because I called her and she told me and she gave me your number. So I'm saying, so we're just talking, talking, talking. And he said, Marita, I want to say something to you. He said, I have been looking for you because I owe you everything that I have, and the man that I am now, and everything that I have now, everything my children have, everything my wife have, everything my family have, it is because of you. He said, I owe you that. He said, I owe you so much. He said, I owe you much more. He said, I owe you my life. I owe you much more than that. So I said, oh, that's so sweet. Because that was the only man that I would allow to put me in my place. Well, I didn't have, he put me in my place and stuff like that. Like, he used to talk to me and he said, I don't care about you being angry. And we did not divorce because we divorced because I was, I didn't want to be married anymore. I just didn't want to be married anymore, but we parted on good terms. And and just telling me, anything that you need, you let me know if you need something. And he said, now I feel like you. And now I feel like you're in a very good space. So I'm telling him about my mom passed and about the house and the situation with the house and everything that's going on. So he said, well, I'm in that business. And if you need any help with the house, with anything, let me know. And, I'm here for you. So I said, okay. But that was not registering to me because people say those type of things, but do they really mean it? And I really wasn't thinking of, thinking in terms of him helping me with nothing. I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And you talking, you found me. That's good. We talking. I got your number. You got my number. And we're good. But right now, this ain't that. And I'm trying to get this worked out and figured out. So the Monday, I call different lawyers and I just say, you know what, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this. I called the lawyer who I spoke with on a Friday. So she and I talked and she said, well, Miss Gray, she said, I understand your situation. She said, but here's the thing for me. My fee is 55 total to is $5,500. And I said, well, I just don't have that type of money. And I said, I really don't know. I just don't know what I'm doing. And I don't even know how to do what it is that I need to do. I said, I don't know. I just don't know. And at that time, my aunt is living. So I couldn't ask my aunt for like $5,500. So then she said, Miss Gray, she said, what I can do, I can charge you $2,500 with the court costs included. So she told me the court cost was like $368. Yeah, $368. And she said that's what I can do for you. So I said, wait a minute, you $2,500. And now I'm not, because all I'm hearing is the $2,500. So I'm figuring out why she think the $2,500 sounded like $555 to me because I didn't have that. So while she's talking, I'm trying to divide $2,500 four ways. I got three kids. So with the three kids, and the four divided four ways with myself. We paid each one of us paid this amount of money. Then I'm thinking, I have a daughter that has a daughter that's in college. She's in college and she's working a full-time job. That's too much for her. I have a son that has six children. And them six children, that's enough stress right there trying to figure out how you're going to do what you need to do for your children. And I have a son, an older son, that is a cook at a country club. He's making good money, but however, he's finally getting himself together. And I said, Lord, I can't do that to any of my kids, and I don't have the funds. And I said, Lord, if this is something that you want me to do, you're going to have to provide a way for me to do it. So the lady she said, Miss Gray, I said, it's almost like it's going to be a total of like almost $3,000. She said, no, ma'am, $2,500. That includes filing the papers and doing all the necessary. That's going to be $2,500. So I said, can I get back with you on a Thursday? So she said, yeah, you could call me. I don't know why I chose Thursday to tell this lady that I would call her back. So, and I'm laying in bed and I'm saying, Lord, this is the beginning of with my anxiety. I'm not going to claim the anxiety. I'm not going to call it my anxiety. This is the beginning of when the anxiety started because I didn't know how I was going to get the money. I didn't know where I was going to get the money from. Where I was going to get the money from. I did. So Monday, don't know. Tuesday, I still don't know. So I said, well, I can't ask my aunt I could ask my aunt. She'll do it. Then my aunt got really, really sick because she's slowly transitioning. She's lucid, but didn't know that it was as bad as I thought. It was worse than I thought it was. And she was hiding it. So then my aunt, she gets sick, really, really sick, and have to be hospitalized, have to go to the hospital. Can't ask her. So this Tuesday, what am I going to do? I told this lady I'm going to call her back Thursday. So just didn't know what to do. Holy Spirit kept saying, call your husband. Wednesday, the Holy Spirit started saying, call your husband. And I'm going backwards and forth with the Holy Spirit. I can't do that. I can't call that man. We just got back in contact and I can't be asking that man for money like that. I'm, I, you know, I can't do that one. I can't do that one. And that's when the heart palpitations started. That's when the heart, I no longer were thinking about grieving my mom. I wasn't thinking about grieve. Now my aunt done passed now. So, and I'm saying, I don't have time to grieve. I can't do that. I don't have time to fall apart. I got to try to get this money from somewhere. And I'm talking to God. And so Wednesday come and, Holy Spirit was so intense, was so loud. Holy Spirit said, call your ex-husband. So Wednesday morning, I said, okay. And I called. And I said, husband, um, I need to talk to you. So he said, what is it? I said, I spoke with lawyers and I said, I need help with the lawyers. And he said, well, what do you need, wife? I said, well, I spoke with the lawyer and I told him the story that I'm telling you guys for anybody who. And he said, and I said, I need 2,500. I said, wait a minute. I'm not asking you to give me $2,500. I said, I'm asking you to lend me $2,500. So he said, well, Marita, he said, right now I am working and I really don't have time to talk. He said, but call me back Friday. Get all the information that you need from the lawyer and send all that information to me and we'll take care of it Friday. So, okay, now I'm relieved. I'm good. I'm relieved. Or so I thought. Or so I thought. But my body had been under so much pressure, even when my mind was saying, okay, it's happening. Things are happening. My body was still in that tense mode. So I said, okay, you'll call back Friday. So Friday come, no phone. I called the lawyer Thursday and I told her what was going on. She said, well, I'll get the papers up and I said, I don't want to come into the office because your office is far away and right now I don't have a car. So is there any way that we could do a wire transfer for the money? So she said, what I'll do, I get all the papers together and email them to you and you sign them electronically. I have the portal where you can send the money. And as soon as you send the money and all that, we'll get started. So I said, well, we should have the money by Friday. By Friday, I ain't had the money. I didn't even have a phone call from my husband, my ex-husband. So I said, I wanted to get upset. I said, okay, he did tell me, Marita, I'm in and out the office. Sometimes I'm out in the field. So the best time to get with me is on the weekend. So I said, okay, I'm not going to even worry about it, Lord, because we done already had this conversation. If it's for me, it's for me. If it's not, you're going to let me know. I'm in bed Saturday morning. Then I basically really had forgot about it. And I said, wait a minute, let me call let me call husband. So I called when I called husband, and husband picked up the phone. He said, "Hey, wife, what's up?" He said, "You know what? As we speak, I am putting in the money. So the money gonna be there when she get in the office Monday. The money will be there." Then I said, "Thank you, husband." And he said, "You're welcome, wife." He said, "Anything you need, just don't hesitate to call me. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you're gonna do with the house. Let me know what you're gonna do. Just let me know what you're gonna do, and I can, help you as much as I can." So I said, "Okay." Monday, oh God. Talk to the lawyer. She go to office, gets the money. The money is there. She already got the money. Now, because I am a convicted felon, do it. I can't do it. The papers got the papers that she sent. I'm letting my daughter see it. And my daughter called me. She said, "Mom, do you know you can't do this because you're a convicted felon?" So I called the lawyer and I said, "Oh, you know what? I am a convicted felon." I said, "This happened over like 30 some years ago." And she said, "Well, that's going to be a problem, still going to be a problem. I don't understand why it's still going to be a problem." So I said, "Let me talk to my daughter." And then I called my daughter. Then I say, "Damn." She said, "Mom, I am," she said, "I got a felony charge too. It's a third-degree felon charge, but I got it never nonetheless." I said, "Damn." She said, "Wait a minute. Before you start getting excited, before you take it there, let's call Jordan." So I called my granddaughter. She called my granddaughter while she up in Atlanta and sent her all the papers and basically letting her know, "Your name is just here, that Nana is going to be in charge of everything. We just need you to do that." So I said all of that because, sometimes when you don't pray and ask God for something and you don't see God moving, just because you don't see God moving don't mean God is not moving. And by my granddaughter being a college student and her time, and it's like everything moving so slow because her timing. Got to make an appointment to see her her advisor so she can get the papers notarized. So now the papers are being notarized, going to be sent out Monday. And I'm thinking, okay, I got all of this is done, but why is my body still treating me like this? Is why is my body going against me like this? The heart palpitations and having all these negative thoughts and just being negative, trying to be positive, but being negative, trying to wait. And yesterday, when we had our love ministry in this book that we're reading, and I don't know, I'm going to tell you this book right here, 100 essays, 101 essays that will change the way you think. And we were studying chapter 6, and it was saying uncomfortable feelings that actually indicate you're on the right path. And as I was reading, it's a little short chapter. And as I was reading it, and I was telling them I was crying because some of the things that the lady was talking about was what I was feeling. And I thought because I feel this way, because I think this way, that I was being negative. But that was just my body letting me know it's some things that you got to deal with. Your unforgiveness. You're harboring so much resentment. You're harboring so much unforgiveness. And all of that stuff can weigh you down. It's like a cancer. It's just like cancer. It's just it's spread through your thoughts. Be having negative thoughts. And I had a breakthrough after. And there's two songs that I listen to every every day until I got this message. It's this song, Teach Me How to Forgive. Teach Me to Forgive. And I listened to that. I heard it And I just started listening to it. And I was just listening because I like the beat. And I never really, when I listen to a song, I like to listen to the words. But I was just listening to the song and really never paying this song any attention. However, during this time when when anxiety was really almost about to felt like it was about to take me out, I began to just listen to that song, Teach Me How to Forgive. And then I started saying, how can I ask God to forgive me when I cannot forgive someone else, when I'm holding resentment towards someone else? And being a Christian, I should know better. I should know better. How can I harbor unforgiveness and pray to God and be praying to God? And I got so much resentment and so much anger in my heart. How and trying to figure out, why is it taking so long for God to do what he need to be doing for me? And listen to that song, just listen to that song, and it made me realize you're not where you think you are. You are not where you think you're not, while you're harboring resentment. You're not while you're harboring unforgiveness. You're not where you think you are. So I listened to that song and then I finally got it. I finally got it. So now they got this AI thing and stuff like that. So there's this song called Celebrate Me, Celebrate Me. And the song, I heard the song and I said, oh, I like that. So I just started playing the song after I play Teach Me How to Forgive. And then I listening to Celebrate Me. There's a there's a passage in that song where she said, the person singing said that ain't nobody clapping for me, so I'm gonna clap for myself. And I started thinking, I said, and I told them this yesterday in the meeting. I said, I'm me. I don't know how to be nobody else but me. And being me, I have to allow other people to be themselves. But on the same token, allow me to be who I am, because I'm not changing. I'm not changing who I am to please anybody. If any change come, it's going to be from God, and it's going to be a reason for that change, and it's going to be the better. And I'm not changing to get along. I'm not changing to be a part of. I'm changing because God saw a need for change. And we were just, a lot of the women that was on there, we were testifying, and I just really broke down. I really broke down because I had talked to my daughter like that Friday, and I was telling her how I felt, and I told her I was angry with my mom that she left this mess back here for me. And I said, and then I said, well, how can I be angry with her and she's not here? Where do I direct my anger? So I internalized. And I said, because I didn't disrespect my mom in life, so I don't want to disrespect my mom in death. And I said, but I'm so angry with her. I'm so angry with her. So what do I do with this anger? So I just held on to the anger. I held on to the anger and the heart palpitations, and it had got so bad to the point where I came home one Thursday. I came home I talked to my daughter like we usually call on her drive home from work. And I was talking to her, and like I went to sit with my little lady, and I came home and I was so cold. And my heart was just, it was just going boom, 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 and flipping and doing all kind of things. And I was so scared. I said, Lord, if it don't get better, I said, I don't want to call the paramedics, but if I need to call the paramedics, I'm going to call the paramedics, and then I'm going to call my doctor. If I make it through the night, I'm going to call my doctor and set up an appointment to come in so I could see what's going on with me. So me and my daughter was talking, and I'm telling her, I said, I am so angry with my mama right now. I said, I am so angry, but I can't be angry because she dead. Ain't no who I'm gonna put it on. I can't go to her and tell her I'm angry. She ain't gonna hear it. And so she ain't here for me to tell her, and it wouldn't be no need if she was here because I wouldn't be angry and I wouldn't be dealing with this stuff. So I laid down and I felt light. I felt light. And I turned on my music and I listened to that song, Teach Me How to Forgive. And I really listened to the lyrics of that song. And listen to the lyrics. I said, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you for that. So one of my church members, she sent me this text and I opened it and it was that song, Celebrate Me. And I texted her back, I said, girl, I have this song on rotation. When you let go of resentment and let go of unforgiveness, it's easy for me to say now. It's easy for me to say now because I've done it. And God can't give you the blessings that he have for you. He can't give them to you because you're holding on to too much negative stuff and you ain't ready for it. You're not ready for it. And I have to love me where I am. I have to love me how I am because God loved me even going through all of that, the negativity, the unforgiveness, the resentment. God still loved me. God needed my attention. So there was the heart palpitations. And I was telling my daughter, I said, oh, she called me, she said, Mom, you okay? I said, and I told her what was going on with me. And she said, now being a nurse, I wanted to not tell her. I don't want to say I wanted to lie, but I wanted to not tell her what was going on because I wasn't ready for the 120 questions and I didn't feel like answering no questions. I didn't want her diagnosing me. I didn't need none of that. I was in the bed and I just wanted to rest. So and I was telling her about what had happened. She said, Mama, what are you angry about? What are you stressed about? And so I said, well, girl, look, I had ordered some groceries from Walmart because I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do nothing. I was scared to leave the house. And then they sent my grocery to the wrong place. And then the lady, she came Thursday and said that they delivered the food to the wrong house. And I had to go downstairs to get it. And some of the stuff that I ordered, I had to throw away, but I even made peace with that because I went to Walmart. They refunded me my money and I just went shopping again. But then the lady came later that afternoon. I had to throw away some chicken and some yogurt because it had been sitting out in the sun, but I ordered some water and a lot of different other things. And then I got scared all over again because I said, am I stealing? Because I kept this stuff. I said, am I stealing? Now, I'm surely going to be stressed out now if I'm stealing. If I don't take this stuff back, I'm stealing. So I called my friend and he said, no, that's not stealing. Because I had already made peace that whoever got it, they just was blessed. And I said, okay, I'm glad I could be a blessing. However, the lady came and brought me the water. She brought everything that I ordered. She brought it to my house and I had to throw away some of it, but the water I kept. So after she and I talked, and she said, well, Mom, what are you feeling? I said, and I was getting frustrated because I know the questions was coming. I said, I'm not having chest pains. I don't have numbness in my fingers. I don't have pain going down my left arm. I'm not nauseated. I'm not anything that associates with the heart attack. I said, I'm none of that. Then she said, did you take your blood pressure medicine? So I said, yeah. She said, but did you check your blood pressure? So she was telling me how to take my blood. She said, well, Ma, check your blood pressure. For me, it was okay, because I'm normally high. And she said, Mom, from now on, she said, I want you to check your blood pressure in the morning, take your medicine. 30 minutes later, check your blood pressure again. So I did that the following day. And I felt better. I had to start feeling better because I done got out, that I'm angry with my mom. Um, the resentment that I was and the bitterness that I was holding against her, I let it out. I spoke it. I spoke it. And then Saturday, and I'm telling you, I felt like in the inside, I felt so light. I felt so airy. I felt so like empty. I felt empty. And I was telling the ladies about this Sunday, and I said, now I can be refilled. God can fill me up with the goodness of Him because now there's no more unforgiveness, no more resentment, no more anger. None of that anymore. And Mm. When I was thinking about it, and I said, well, I'll wait till Monday to go live because I said I wanted to start back going live in the mornings. I just want anybody who watching this for real. Prayer changes conditions. Prayer changes conditions. Before you pray, make sure, make sure that you are not harboring any bitterness, pr- that there's no resentment, that you're full of anger, and you're holding on to unforgiveness. No, I don't know what that person did to you. No, I don't know what that person said about you. No, I don't know what you're going through. However, this I do know. If God put it in front of you, if God brought it to you, He's going to take you through it. And you're going to if God is taking you through the fiery furnace, if you feel like you can't turn left, you can't turn right, you can't do nothing. No, you can't. No, you can't. Because I cried out to God and I told God, I said, Lord, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this by myself. I can't do it. I need help. I need help. I ain't talking about for my ex-husband. I'm not talking about for my children. I'm not talking about for my pastor. I ain't talking about for my business friend. I ain't talking about I need help from these people. I need help from the Most High, the one who sits high and looks low, from the one that's everywhere at the same time, the one that can turn nothing into something. I need help. I need help. And the moment I said that, I looked to the hills where my help cometh from. And all that other stuff was slowly, I don't want to say killing me, but it was slowly about to take me out. The heart palpitations, and that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing when I feel my heart in my throat, and waking up in the mornings with headaches, and go to bed, turn my air conditioner down real low because I get hot at night, and then I take my top off, and I say, Lord, please don't let me pass away. And they got to come in here and find me naked. I'm just all kind of stupid stuff, just going through my head. But however, when I cried out to the Lord and told the Lord that I needed help, He sent help. And I was telling them yesterday, one of the ladies asked me, she said, well, Miss Marita, how are you feeling today? I said, light as a feather. Light as a feather. I said, I feel so good, it's scary. And I began to tell them the story that I just said, was telling, who's listening. And I just want to give you some encouraging words, regardless of what it looks like. Don't look at what it looked like, because perception, Just because you perceive a thing to be a way, that's not the reality of it. And because you feel like things just not working out for you, things just not going right. Think this way. How about it? It could be going the way that God thought it up to go. Whatever He's trying to get your attention for. Because God when He wants your attention, He'll trouble the waters. He will trouble the waters. And He'll trouble the waters so bad that you can't do nothing but call out to Him. And once you start calling out to Him, baby, the sea will start that raging, that storm that's raging. When the storms of life start raging, can't nobody calm it but God. But God. You're welcome, Mimi. Thank you, sis. I needed to hear this today. Nobody but God. And today, when one of the elders, um she was bringing the word, and she said, is there anything that God can't do? It ain't but one thing God can't do, and that's a lie. And God loves us so much, even in the midst of our not doing right, even in the midst of us being harboring unforgiveness and anger and malice, and want to get our lick back. God loves us. He still loves us. And when she was almost finishing her sermon today, and she said, in the piano, the musician started playing, Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That's love. That's love. That's how much God loves us. He loves us enough to chastise us. He loves us enough to trouble our spirits. He loved us enough to not want to see us fall by the wayside. He loves us enough for us to know that we ain't never by ourselves. Never. We may not have physical touch. We're not physically around people all the time and feeling lonely. We feeling lonely because we don't have that physical contact. But you could call, however, you could talk to God anytime you want to. Anywhere anywhere you are, God is there as well. It ain't like when you call somebody and they don't want to pick up the phone and they'll tell you, I'll call you back. It ain't like when you text them and they leave it on red, and then 2 or 3 days later, 2 or 3 hours later, oh girl, then they'll text you back. God ain't like that. They ain't the kind of God that I serve. I'm telling you, it ain't just a saying. He's an on time God. God is an on time, all time God. And when you don't hear from God, it's not that God didn't hear you. God heard you. God heard you. God started working on your behalf. God started working. See, God is an all-knowing God. So God knew the problem before you know you was going to have a problem. God already knew about the problem. And He had already fixed that problem before you even called on Him to fix the problem. See, but we take the long route. And all we had to do just go to God in prayer. That's all we had to do. But we go all over the world 2 or 3 times before mm, we make it hard on ourselves. I'm going to say me. I make it hard on myself when I know all I got to do is just go to God. And and I have come to the conclusion I ain't gonna try to I ain't doing it I ain't trying to do it on my own no more. I don't want the headaches. I don't want the heart palpitations. I don't want to be scared to go to sleep at night. I don't be wanting, and I'm telling you honestly, I be laying in the bed with the covers up like this. If I close my eyes, God, am I gonna wake up in the morning? I want to go to sleep. I love the rest. I love rest. I love to rest. So, and wake up in the morning and sit on the side of the bed and just say, thank you, God, for it. And when I was waking up the last 2 weeks, waking up in the morning, I would wake up when I say in the morning, sometimes be 2 o'clock in the morning, and I start, and I'm going to stop doing this, strolling. And just going on Facebook, going on TikTok, going on Instagram, going on threads, going on sites. I'm gonna get my Bible. I'm gonna listen because it said it comes by listening. It comes by listening. And so today, my pastor, he wasn't there, and it was this guy named Cornell. And he did the we didn't have a Sunday school lesson. We were talking about evangelism and how he was showing us the proper way to evangelize and stuff like that. And of late I had been saying, well, I need to find me something in the Bible because my spirit is so unsettled. It has been so unsettled. That was part of the heart palpitations because I know God has a mighty work for me to do. So I needed to find somewhere to start in the Bible, not at the beginning. God created the heavens and earth, not there. So he was talking to another young lady, and he said, start in the book of John. What all you need to know about God, what all you need to know about Jesus is in the book of John. So that's where I'm going to start, in the book of John. And just remember, you're not by yourself. God is closer than than the air that you breathe. All you got to do is just whisper his name. God can hear your thoughts. God know your thoughts. God, you can just say, you just move your mouth where people think you just, when you're not, and they don't hear sound come out your mouth. God hears that. God hears that. And God don't want us to be unhappy. He don't want us harboring unforgiveness and resentment. He don't want us. That's not God. That is not God's spirit. That's not God's spirit. So start with the book of John. And don't read it trying to understand it. Read it, you read it to just read it and listen at what the words are saying. Because before you start reading it, pray and ask God to give you the understanding that you need. Let God know I come with expectations, Lord. I'm coming because I need a word. Lord, I need to be blessed. I got too much going on in my life right now. Lord, I need to hear from you. And start in the book of John. And John gonna tell you who he said, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word is God. So start at John, and that lets you know, in the beginning it was the word. It's always the word. The word was with God, and the word is God. Don't get confused. Don't start overthinking it. Read it and read it again and read it again. And don't try to read it all in one day. Read 2 or 3 chapters and ponder on it. And ask God to give you the wisdom to understand what it is that you're reading. So Thank you, Miss L. B. Davis. I need to hear this. Thank you. You welcome, girl. Mimi, thank you. And then for the ones who here, thank you for, staying up and not coming down and speaking to me on this Sunday. Thank you for listening to me as well, because I think this is something that I needed to share, because when God is doing something in your life, you don't hold on to that. You don't hold on to it. You let somebody else know what God is doing in your life, because you don't never know what somebody is going through. And sometimes all a person needs is just a word, just not a gossiping word. Sometimes all a person needs is just a word. And, just to know that there is somebody, experiencing some of the things that you have experienced, and they're showing you how to maneuver. And we can't do it by ourselves. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. I'm my brother's keeper. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am my sister's keeper as well. And sometimes we have to hear hard truths. Sometimes we have to hear the things that we don't want to hear. And but we do it in love, because see, love covers a multitude. You don't do things or say things to hurt someone. You tell them things to heal them and to help them. So that's what I got for today. And I'm so excited. I'm so thankful, because we got this little tea party thing going on. And I'm so glad that God just removed all that, all of that from me. I am so thankful. I am. And I have been noticing when I want to roll my eyes at somebody, or when I want to not pay attention to what they be saying and stuff like that. I just, look at God, and I am so excited. I'm so excited about that. I am so excited, and I know there's much more work for me to do. So I'm gonna get in my Bible and I'm gonna start reading that Bible. I'm gonna, because I know my final destination. Save a seat for me. I am striving to get to that place where God say, the streets are paved with gold and all the precious jewels, and that every day will be Sunday. I am striving to get to that place. So, in the meantime, and in between time, y'all, this blessed Sunday, continue to have a good day. And if you're not, if your day didn't start off good, you're still here. So it is a good day. And join me in the morning, Lord's willing, at 8 o'clock, because I'll be here with more good news. So I'm going to say, peace out, deuces, and I'll holler, and you holler back. You hear? Bye.